All right, so this is Manny here again with breathing is highly dangerous. Not unfortunately, but my other channel wasn't able to um, let me go live. So right now, I'm going to be here on this channel. I'm going to be reacting objectively to some several occurrences that have been caught on film recently that I have not seen yet. That's in reference to Adam Toledo, the 13-year-old that was shot by police in Chicago, I believe. And then I'm also be reacting to the Duante Wright shooting uh, in Minnesota. Um, I'll be reacting to both of those. I've heard a lot about it in recent time, uh, and I think that's just something uh, I didn't. I mean, objectively, I've said some things, but certainly there are ideas about it that other people have based on watching it. I haven't watched it yet, so I don't have a full idea of what's going on. So I will address that right now. We're going to be first looking at the Duante Wright video, and I don't really have my streaming set up. So if you've seen it, that's what I'm referencing. If not, then I have links in the description to the links I'm using. So we're first going to be looking at the Duante Wright video, and I'm going to start that right now. So there's three officers there approaching white Buick. There's no audio. Never mind. Let me turn the audio on. Two male officers on either side of the vehicle. And this officer that is behind, Duante's now getting out the car. They're immediately putting him in handcuffs. They're saying he has a warrant and he's under arrest. And they're saying don't reach for something. And he was trying to break out, and now he's trying to get back in the car. And she said, "I'll tase you," and she has a gun in her hand. Taser, yelling taser. And then she says, "Oh, I shot him. Oh, I shot him." So that is the most okay. Now I've watched that. Wow. 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 That is amazing. It's not funny at all. Heavily concerning. This is incredibly concerning. For those, incredibly concerning. She yelled, "Taser, taser, taser," and she had a gun in her hand. Immediately, this is coming from the perspective of someone that's used firearms, myself owning firearms, and utilizing them often and wielding them correctly in the proper situation, which is an often unless I'm training to be more efficient with them. So for her to not know with certainty that she was not using a taser is incredibly concerning, and hopefully she's fired and hopefully she's going to go to jail. So there's really not much. The only he didn't deserve to die. He resisted, but she yelled taser, taser, taser. So there's nothing. She didn't mean to shoot him. So she didn't mean to cause deadly harm. So manslaughter, right? Okay. Fair enough with that or whatever. It's not fair that he died. afterwards, what is the reason that he was complying and then became uncompliant? Only he will know that for certain. We can speculate that he didn't want to go to jail. That's a speculative remark. And we can speculate that he felt like he was in danger and he was trying to get out of a dangerous situation. We can speculate that. We will never know for certain why that happened. So anyone saying, "Oh, he shouldn't have done this, he shouldn't have done that," you shouldn't do a lot of things, right, in terms of other people's view. So you can't say he shouldn't have done something where there is an option for that thing that he did to be very important in saving his life, right? If that's what something he was considering. And we can't say he wasn't because he's dead. So anyone making remarks saying, "Oh, this is the reason he died because he tried to escape," I haven't heard any of that. But if, just in case, I can tell that would be something perpetuated by people. That it's like, "Oh, she made a mistake, and she wouldn't have made that mistake if he was compliant." You can't do that. Well, you can, but you shouldn't. That's not how objectivity works. You can say this action led to these actions. That's objective. That's objective. Subjective is determining what the reason was. What is the why? Why is always subjective because only the individual knows why. So you consider all the whys when you don't have a reasonable access to that answer. We don't have reasonable access to that answer because the guy is dead. So outside of that, who should be held accountable? The officer should be held accountable. The other officers were doing the job just fine, abiding by the rules. Nothing. That officer should have charges pressed against them, and retraining, immediate retraining with that whole department, because that she slipped through the cracks, not knowing a gun wasn't a taser, which is incredibly concerning for the conditions of power that they're in. All right, so that's my talk. That's it on that. That's pretty straightforward. There's no, I mean, you could argue all you want, but there's no point in arguing what you can't know for certain. And we know for certain that he was shot and she wanted to use a taser. We know for certain that he resisted. We don't know why. We do know why she thought a gun was a taser. She was not properly trained. That's all that it. So we can have her. We have her side because she's alive. We don't have his side. He's dead. Easy as that. It's very simple. Very simple. Not to be coarse, but it's simple. Now we're going to go to Adam Toledo. We're going to go to Adam Toledo. The video of him. I haven't seen it yet. So I have access to the full body cam video. You have access to, because I put the link down below. And excuse me. And we're going to watch that now. Officers in the car, the vehicle. They're making a whole U-turn. I wish there was audio. I don't know if there was originally audio or not. Right now, I don't hear any. Oh, I just got some audio. Okay, just got some audio. I just rewound a little bit, going back, and she looks like she's riding down, or I don't know if it's she. It looks like they're riding down some alleyways, going really high speed, high rate of speed. They're about to exit the vehicle, preparing to exit the vehicle, came to a complete stop with the car, and now running down. Uh, Looks like they just pushed elderly person out the way, and they're running down an alleyway, and the audio just came in. This yelling, "Stop!" This is show me your hands. Drop it. Show me your hands. Drop it. Show you your hands. Drop. Show me your hands. Drop it. Show me your hands. Drop it. Show me your hands. Where you shot? Drop it. Show me your hands. He's where you shot. He's going. He's leaving. You can see his life leaving his body. Top of the chest shot. They're acting very quickly to try to tend to the wound. At this point, at this point, at this point, you see him falling, falling, falling. He's out. Right before they start the chest compressions, he left. I saw all the life leave from his hand. It just started dropping and drooping. So there's potential to resuscitate. However, with bleeding, what is what does this applied pressure and pumping do if not trying to get the blood out? Because that seems like it would just accelerate the rate of flow in which the blood would be pumping out the body and filling a cavity of what is necessary to breathe much quicker than if it was let alone. And he's completely laid flat on his back where that blood can pool. So they're saying stay awake. I mean, I guess his eyes are open still. The original officer is going away, puffing. He stopped compressions. Saying they're trying to get a response. There was no okay. So right now I could finish this out. I'll just so he is just reactionary at this point. He's gone. They located a gun behind. It looks like he threw a gun, right? So what is the knowledge that we have about that? It seems like he was responding to a call that might have been it might have been known that Toledo possessed a gun, and he was being located and then found and then chased down an alleyway. the immediate reaction of the immediate communication from the officer to Adam Toledo was drop it, let me see your hands, and immediately a shot thereafter. There was no time after that. I'm gonna see that reaction. I'm gonna repeat that for just to be completely objective. We're gonna see. Stop. Okay, so the first thing he says is stop. Okay, he's saying stop right effing now. There's a point where the audio is not on, so he gets out the car. So he could be yelling stop, stop right there. Right effing now. All right, he's running. Police, stop. First thing that we hear. Stop right effing now. Second thing that is three. That is police, stop. Stop right effing now. That's literally 2 seconds after he said that. He said hands. Show me your hand. Show me your hands. Show me your effing hands. Drop it. And a shot. All that within a span of 6 seconds. If he waited 1 second more, he would have seen free hands. Because the boy stopped. He said, stop it. Show me your effing hands. He said, stop it. He said, stop, drop it. Show me your effing hands. The commands were obeyed. And a punishment was dealt. What the officer says, drop it. Because they figure that there is a weapon on hand. He said, let me see your hand. There is no possible way. There is no possible other way for him to have presented his hands after dropping something. He wasn't shot. He was shot with his hands up. It's not like he was shot. The officer, no. Oh man, this is ridiculous. This is quite ridiculous. I'm gonna, let's start effing now. Hands. Show me your hands. Show me your effing hands. Drop it. Wait. So he says drop it after his hands are already up when he says drop it. Wait a second. Give me a second here. Wait a second. He's saying drop it when his hands are already up. Okay. So this police officer must be blind. This police officer should receive some time in prison. He did not. All this happened within a span of 6 seconds. Right. So when thinking about these things, when thinking about these occurrences, we have dead people on our hands. We also have the people that are responsible for their deaths. Right. So we have that. There's no argument. Who killed who died, who's accountable for what action. You're accountable for killing this person. Well, we're considering accountability. The accountability for the victim, because in the case of Daunte Wright, he was a 20-year-old. Whether or not he was fully independent, evidently he has a child, right? So he's making decisions that that require him to make the smart decisions for. So he's there for his child. Do you make the best decision evading the police at that time? We don't know. We don't know what he was thinking. What was the warrant for previously? That's nothing. That's something I would have to get into later. I don't know what that. Well, matter of fact, let me search that up right now. I can search that up. No problem. Warrant. So, or is it Dwayne Wright? It says Duante. So, outstanding arrest warrant. Uh, warrant reason. Outstanding arrest warrant. I mean, gross misdemeanor warrant. Carrying possess pistol without a permit. Fleeing peace officer. All right. So, I mean, we've got a record of these individuals not making the decisions in the best interest of themselves necessarily, in terms of a lawful thing, which some lawful things do not match up with what should be applied to life. But in terms of safety is concerned, when you have children, you want to make sure that you're making decisions that are in the best interest of yourself, so you can be there to do things in the best interest of your children. And that's quite simple. So if you're already making decisions that are going against that, that's going to influence you to make decisions in the future that are against that. So who's accountable for? He was accountable for his original misdemeanor. He's not accountable for his own death. He's accountable for Duante Wright is accountable for attempting to flee. Right. He's not accountable for an officer misrepresenting a gun as a taser. Right. At that point, he would still be alive, but he would have had another charge, and he would have had a temporary time taken away from his child, certainly, but not a permanent amount of time taken away from his child. Right. So he's not at fault for an officer using the wrong weapon to try to subdue him. He's responsible for only his actions, and the actions, therefore, that led to these actions currently. But he's not responsible for the actions that occurred. He's responsible for the path. He's not responsible for the result that someone else inflicted. Someone else had, influence upon. Someone made a choice. It's not fault. He's not at fault for the choices someone else is making. You only get fault for the choices that you make personally. All right, so yeah, that's closed. Duante Wright, that's closed in my mind. There's nothing. I mean, you could say why these decisions were made, but that's something you get into. You had age of accountability. At the time that you have a child, you should have a good outlook on life to be reasonably effective in presenting yourself, even though that's not current state. But you would hope so. So anyone that is confused about who they are and what they will do and how their actions affect them and their lives, you shouldn't be having children, and that's easy, said point blank. Right. Okay, great. Now let's get on to Adam Toledo, because this one is a lot to unpack. This one is very, very concerning. Highly concerning. All right. So I addressed why the possibility of the officer even being out there was he was dispatched to a location, and he found the person that he was looking for, potentially. This looks like it was at 2 something in the morning. Adam Toledo turns out to be a 13-year-old boy. I don't know the status of his family. The status is something that we'd assume some a 13-year-old or not. We assume what, an orphan, right? I don't know his family history, but whoever is his legal guardian is responsible for him at that time. And the fact that they let them out of their sight at 2:30 in the morning, making and didn't instill values in that child to make sure that they were out that late, where dangers occur anyway, whether or not they're contributing to that danger. The fact of the matter is, you only become something. You have to be on a journey to become something. The only thing you're born as is human, and you become everything else after that. So you become everything after exposures, after you learn things, right? You never speak a language if you never heard that particular language, right? That's not true. You never speak a language that you've never learned. So whether that be learning exactly how the mouth works and how sounds work, and whether that's someone teaching you or whether that's you teaching yourself, it's impossible for something not to influence the way you are. It's impossible for your past not to affect your future. It's impossible for your present not to affect your future. So there is someone's present that they did not take the opportunity to teach this child that is now fatally shot dead because of what they were doing out. So I hold the guardians of that child accountable. The biological, first of all, if they're alive, their responsibility. They were first. They were the first people to be held accountable. And if that child doesn't have those biological parents in life, then whoever the guardian is solely responsible. Both guardians. I mean, and if it was one, they have that responsibility, and it would have been that way whether it was two or not, two people in the household or not. So there's the responsible for the things that they teach that child, the things that child is exposed to. And then if that child resists through discipline, if that child resists through disobedience, right? Or through not just disobedience, what's the other thing? You know the word, like where you're going against your parents, essentially. So disobedience, revolting, like revolting, right? Where you don't like that. Where you it's something like that, right? So if they're going against this so intrinsically, so hard, where then that means you're not doing an effective job in you having it while they were younger, because you are the most important exposure, the thing that they stay with most of the day. And if the things you let them go out in public school and do out in the street, you let them learn these things. Yes, you let them learn because you are responsible for the exposure at a certain age. So if the child learns things that you didn't know they learned, and they're exposed to things that you didn't know that you're exposed to, that is you're responsible for that. And you will be held accountable until that child is of age to take care of themselves in the way that you take care of it now. Right? That that's just simple. And if you don't do the things to change yourself to be able to provide correctly for the child, so it's very simple. So whoever's parents, whoever the guardians were of Adam Toledo, If it was rebellion. That's what it is. Rebellion. If they rebel, the rebellion is not your fault. But the discipline of that child thereafter is strictly on you. And if you did not do that, the parents, then you're held accountable for the location of where your child was and the business that they were participating in. And whoever also was leading that child outside of the home of their parents that claimed responsibility for the child to have where they put them in harm's way where a 13-year-old had a firearm at all at 2:30 in the morning, running away from a police officer after the police officer was dispatched because a potential crime had been committed by potentially this 13-year-old child. So you tell me who's responsible, right? And if this is what happens in the environment, guess what? I think I was raised in similar environments. Guess what happened? My parents were smart enough to move us out of the environment. Oh, most people don't have money. Oh, interesting. So the safety, uh, your comfort means more to you than the safety of your children. And that's what I praise my parents for is like, even though we were not rich, right? We were uncomfortable at times, but our safety, like sheltered, I was sheltered in safety. So we were so safe because we were sheltered, and we were sheltered in poverty. So even though we didn't have the nicest things, right? We were safe, right? And that caused a whole journey for me of having to realize what is actually out there and all that stuff. So that there's the positives and there's negatives to all these things, but understand that if you don't have if you're missing any of those things, you're gonna have a result that it doesn't turn out so good. And I've had those things similar happen in my life, right? Some cases where I could have had my life taken because of these environments, right? There's certain things you just and then okay, this goes, but that's extended. That goes outside the point. So Adam Toledo, 13-year-old boy, 13-year-old child, responsible. Yes, he's still responsible for his actions, but it should have been an understanding that because of the immaturity of the choice, because of the demonstration of the choices that you make, that shows a level of immaturity that should be taken into account by law enforcement or the parents themselves. So if you give your child such free range and they're making these mistakes and you say, "Oh, why is my child like this?" It's because they have too much control over the decisions that they make and they're not making good decisions for themselves and you're not taking control to guide them in the right direction. You're not taking control yourself to be a guiding force to point them in the right direction. So yes, you are responsible for your child. As long as they are dependent on you, anything they do, you're responsible for, right? Unless it's rebellion, then you're responsible for them knowing the results of their actions because of the rebellion, which is discipline and teaching. And discipline is not always discipline should be violence should be the last form of discipline, if even necessary. Violent discipline is only necessary when a violent action has been committed. And I will stand on that forever. Okay, now going to the officer for Adam Toledo, the shooting officer. He was so quick, right? So spry, so quick to chase after, so quick and projection to making sure he heard what he heard what to make sure that his instructions were heard by the perpetrator, right? At this point, he doesn't know the age. I always assume he doesn't know the age of the child. He doesn't know how dangerous this person is. So his things are hard. So he's trying to find his skills, and also he's in his state of danger and fight or flight himself, because he's like, oh, there's a gun. His guy's got a gun. The guy's got a gun. We gotta stop him. We gotta. When someone's running away from you, that means they're running away from the danger that they perceive you to be, as well as trying to escape their own thing. So understand that when someone's running away, that's an avoidance tactic, right? And then when they stop, you gave instructions. How long do you allow someone to process instructions, right? How long that in officer training, you want they want to keep themselves alive, right? But that is at risk of making a bad call when it comes to someone with a weapon as well. So they want to be the only, as much as we have rights to weapons, because at this point he doesn't know how old this person is. He just knows someone's running away from him, and I can't have this person run away from me. So there's an issue since they're running away from me. There's got to be an issue, right? So this person's a danger to me, even though they're running away, right? So that's something that is instilled in them, right? So when you gave the instruction to stop right effing now, then you say, put your hands up, drop it. Show me your hands, drop it. Drop it. After his hands are already shown. You're saying drop it after his hands are already shown. Your body camera captured it, buddy. Well, you don't have an excuse. There is not. That is the worst clouded judgment I've ever seen, and that is the quickest. He was prepared to kill. He didn't. There was the kid followed the instructions as fast as he could because as quick as the officer was given directions, the child, in an effort to keep his life, threw the gun. The guy said drop it. The guy threw it. The boy threw the gun away from him. He threw it away from him, and then immediately followed the instructions that were coming at him so fast. And this is a child. So at this point, the officer doesn't know that, but the officer is giving these instructions. So he should be expecting to. What is he expecting? Is he expecting the person not to obey the instructions? So he was so ready to be shot at. He didn't see if his commands were being obeyed. So he shot even though his commands were obeyed. There is no argument here. Anyone that's saying anything about the officer distress, yes, all that is important. All that is known. And you have this job. So how many people? Because this opens it, that just shows you how. In my previous videos, and I'm talking about even the prison system, you can't get me to start talking about the policing system, because the policing system is we already know about this stuff. Me telling you about it is being a dead horse that you're still trying to ride. You're on the dead horse thinking it's going to move somewhere. And I'm talking to everyone that's saying racism, racism, racism. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, it's racist. Sure, it's racist. Who cares? Who cares? What are you going to do about it now? It's there. It's a dead body. It's something that is a fact, alive. What now? Oh, it stinks. Bury it. Oh, it's still yeah, racism exists. You can bury it. You cannot acknowledge it. It's still going to be there. Racism is something ingrained. Racism is something learned that was then ingrained into society. In order to get rid of it, you have to not teach it. Does it make it not ever have existed? No, it just makes it a non issue. So you keep telling everyone, oh, this is racist, this is racist, this is racist, when it's not racist. And now everything, all racism, everything's racist or nothing's racist. So if you're saying that all this stuff is racist when most of it isn't, people are going to say, oh, most of it isn't. So nothing, they're saying that you lose credibility. And you're not holding yourself accountable to actually doing your due diligence to see if something's racist. So is this racist? This community, because of the community, they might have a heightened sense of, oh, they've got weapons on them. They might shoot me. So I got to make sure that I survive the night. This is what the police are taught. I challenge I challenge the police systems. If they're so certain in the way they train their officers, I challenge them to have me come up to their headquarters and look through their policies and look through the actions of officers and see if they follow their own policies. I mean, I guess I could do ride-alongs. If that's something, I might do that. I might do some ride-alongs around the country. If you say I can't, then that means you got a problem, isn't it? Around the United States, because I was planning on traveling and doing stuff. So I have programs coming in, but that would be actually very helpful. And if someone wants to sponsor that, that would be lovely. Riding around, doing ride-alongs in these neighborhoods, and shows them how they can better, because people are always saying, "Oh, policy has to change. Policy has to change." Okay, so the policy's right, but the people are still doing these actions which are going against the result that you want, against their own policies, and when they violate them, they're not being disciplined or disciplined in the way that is just. Right? So we'll talk about that in a further video, but there's that. Dwayne Wright shouldn't have died. Adam Toledo shouldn't have died. Any race thing that you bring up is personal. Racism is personal. It's individual. On these levels, we're talking about specific instances. If you're not talking about history, don't bring up systematic racism. We're talking about specific instances. Was there anything that eluded or anything that indicated racism within the content that you watch? Because with the content I watched, no. There's things that come into play when you think about outside factors after the matter, right? When you're analyzing the experiences of each person, and when you're analyzing their actions, when you're analyzing their environment and why they made certain decisions, that's getting into stuff that contributed to the incident, but it doesn't have anything to do with the incident itself. So if you're talking about the instance, if you're talking about the occurrence, the conflict, stick to talking about the conflict and the occurrence. Do not, if that's what you're describing is in your article and that's all you're going to talk about, don't go into racism and mention that when you're not going to mention the reasons and the environment and actually try to put change in it. And the people that keep saying you're trying to change something, I don't see your actions because you keep mentioning stuff that has nothing to do with anything. And I really don't appreciate it. For the people that are actually saying that, like me, I'm I'm saying this needs to change, and I'm actively doing things and implementing uh, myself and the way I do things into other people's lives and teaching and reteaching and I'm spending time, right? And it's a heavy investment of my time, which I am glad to do because I want to change the world. But the people that keep saying, "Oh, this needs to happen, needs to happen," shut the hell up unless you're doing something, please. And that's I'm don't really don't make a social media post and say, "Oh, this needs to change," and then share it a bunch of times. Why isn't anyone sharing my stuff when I'm telling you exactly what needs to happen and I'm actually doing it on such an individual level? You know why? Because no one actually wants to do anything. And I comment and I message these people with popular pages and see what I can do to help them since they say this issue is so important, right? I don't get a response. I've messaged hundreds of churches about these specific issues and how a church could help. If you really care about people, you care about all people, right? So religion is no help. So you as an individual without the religion, say religion is the problem, right? So where are you helping? I messaged you too. No one has contacted me back. None. What is it going to take? Because right now, all you are a bunch of liars saying this needs to change. If you are not, if it needs to change, you don't really believe it needs to change because you're not doing anything to change it. And that's it. All right. That thank you all for watching. Hopefully I'll be able to upload this on Breathing is Highly Dangerous. And this is going to be uploaded to this channel. But um be better. And these things, these instances were not racist. These instances, two young men, one young man and a boy, a child, were killed. The officers should be held accountable. All right. Thank you all for listening and watching. Be blessed, stay blessed, and I will see you all in the next video. Breathing is Highly Dangerous is the channel this is supposed to be on, and hopefully we'll be on soon. All right. Cheers.